Hey, I think we're on.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy
Morning.
Saturday.
Happy Saturday. Yay.
Sean and Allison, we're here live with you, our garden chat.
Spoken
Saturday
Garden.
morning.
Yep, Saturday morning, Spoken Garden Live. Yeah, we've got a great episode, a great live video today for you. So we hope you're ready for some fun stuff, some exciting things.
Yeah, we're inside obviously today. It's pretty stormy out here in the Pacific Northwest, so we're kind of happy to be inside.
Windstorm.
Some warm beverages and
tea, coffee.
Got some tea. And you know what? We're really sorry we weren't able to go live last Saturday. We just remembered, oh yeah, we didn't do that. So sorry about that. We were kind of feeling a little under the weather. And
yeah, we had a lot on our plate,
yeah.
and we just, we didn't feel like we would have been 100% for you guys last week. So we postponed it, but here we are.
But here we are.
And,
so sorry if you were looking for us and we weren't there, but here we are.
Here we are. We made it.
So we hope you're doing really well, had a good week.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's been an interesting week of weather here and throughout the U.S. and the rest of the world.
I know.
So yeah, it's like here where it's kind of almost an early spring.
We continue to have an early, it's a bizarre like late winter. We haven't had any snow.
Nope, no snow yet.
We don't always get snow, or a lot of snow, but we usually get a little bit. It's just been warm here, like almost 50 degrees almost every day.
Yeah, 45, 50 degrees consistently. And that's odd for us.
It is.
So, yeah, but today what we're going to do is we're going to go through and talk about, first we're going to answer some questions from you guys, go over some comments and questions from you here on YouTube, and that'll be fun. And then we're going to talk about a main topic today that's trending right now. One of the things is anyway, and that's vertical gardening. Maybe you've thought about this. I mean, we started thinking about it because it's a great way to maximize your space, grow all kinds of different plants that you might have never grown before.
I know, and it's not like it's anything new, right? I mean, it kind of has been trending, right, for a couple years, but it's making kind of this resurgence of popularity because more people are gardening now, and a lot of people have less space.
Yep. Well, we heard a new statistic, or we were reminded of a new statistic earlier this week, because basically over this last year, over 10 million people have started or kind of re-upped their gardening in their yards, in their lives, and that is tremendous. That is amazing. And so with all that, I mean, everybody's thinking about these things and how they can use their yards, and with this resurgence of gardening, everybody's looking at, vertical gardening, tropical plant gardening, they're looking at vegetable gardening, they're looking at ornamentals, they're looking at all sorts of things, and we wanted to talk to you about a couple things and just touch on a little bit on vertical gardening today.
I know, this is going to be great.
Yep.
So yeah, we're changing up our format just a little bit.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned that already. Yeah. But after, we're going to talk about some projects, some things that are flowering in our yard, which happen to be a lot of our spring bulbs right now, which is like a big surprise.
And then some other plants that we're looking at going, why are you flowering right now?
It's been a bizarre mild winter here. So we're not sure what to expect.
And then we'll do a video roundup, a couple of announcements we got for you, some really exciting stuff that we just became part of, and of course we want to talk about our book a little bit more. And then some more Q&A with you guys. Hopefully you'll have some questions for us and we can just talk about our gardens.
Okay.
So with that,
let's dive in. Good morning to Sherry for being here, and we're sorry we missed you last week as well. And again, we're sorry we weren't able to go live last week. So we're happy to be back with you and everybody else that's joining in. So we'd love to hear your questions. And I dropped a question in the chat for everybody. Have you ever experimented with vertical gardening, and what have you grown? Do you typically tend to grow flowering, kind of vining type, ornamentals, or have you grown edible stuff?
Yeah, we've got some interesting ways to even think about vertical gardening today, because you might only think of it in a certain way or just a couple ways. Well, there's actually a lot of different ways to think about vertical gardening.
I know, I really think, and again, Sean mentioned this already, but we're really excited just to kind of experiment this year. And we're idea generating right now as far as like, how can we maximize our space, and also just trying out things that maybe you wouldn't think could grow vertically, but really anything can be grown vertically, right? It's just a matter of training it, or
and figuring out how to make it work in a vertical situation, in a vertical environment.
Like tomatoes, right?
Yeah, there's tomatoes that they grow up, some grow over and down. They're trailing tomatoes, so it's pretty cool.
Really
so let us know in the comments section. If you're thinking about vertical gardening, and just what your thoughts are on that.
I know, we want to hear some new ideas.
So So some questions from this week and just a couple weeks actually.
Yeah, we've got a great first question from an Alicia Cromwell, which thank you for your question.
Yeah, thank you, Alicia.
So she was wondering, we did an episode, it was either this week or last week. They're kind of blending together now.
Yeah.
But about our greenhouse, and we had a previous question about how do you use a greenhouse, and that was an awesome question.
And we talked about that.
Yeah, that was.
We had a whole episode on that. I think it was last week or two.
Yeah.
And that was great. Yeah.
That was a really fun one.
Yep. So this one's a little bit different.
But related to that episode, this Alicia asked, what happens when your temperature in the greenhouse drops like below freezing? Would we ever need to bring in a heater? What are our thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a great question because, I mean, these are things, that's just one of many things you want to think about. If you have a greenhouse and you're using it, now it comes down to what you're using your greenhouse for. You want to make sure that, one, you know why you're using a greenhouse and you're doing everything to use it for that reason. So if you're using it to hold over plants over the winter and they're not frost hardy, but they are cold tolerant, they are chill tolerant, then it's good to have them in the greenhouse to protect them, to make sure that they don't get too cold and they're protected from frost and the freeze thaw if you can. But if it does get down below 0 like Celsius, or it gets, or if it gets to 32 degrees like freezing or below, and your plants aren't hardy for that, or they're just on the cusp of that, and you don't want to chance them getting hurt or damaged from that, well then yeah, you're going to need to put some type of heating into your greenhouse. Like what we have is we have a heating mat, and what our main concern is keeping our specific plants, their root and soil zones, their soil around those roots, warm enough to not freeze. And we've got a heating mat. It keeps everything at 20 degrees above whatever the outside temperature is, and that in our climate right now, it's perfect.
It's been working really well.
Yeah, so it's like 40 degrees outside. Those root temperatures on our plants that we have on that mat, they stay at about 60 degrees. It's really great. So that's something that you might be able to use in your greenhouse, or you might actually need to use a heater.
I know.
Depending on where you live and how harsh your winters are and what temperatures you're getting. So, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when we were kind of trying to figure out how we were going to overwinter everything in there, because this was the first winter we've had this greenhouse, because we just built it it was our COVID project last March, right?
Yep.
And we weren't sure what we were going to do, and we had considered using a heater, and then we weren't sure if we really liked that idea. It made me feel a little uncomfortable having something
It was
going.
a space heater.
Yeah,
too. It was an electric space heater.
I really didn't like that idea.
Yeah,
I know that's what they were advertising though. They use those. They have these industrial kind of strength ones.
Well, the industrial ones too. Usually they're committed heaters, and you can put them in either on the side, on the ground, or the floor, or hang them up in the rafters on the structure of your greenhouse. They build them for all these different scenarios and how to hook them in.
Yeah.
But like an industrial or wholesale greenhouse operation, even a retail greenhouse operation, they'll have like these Modine, it's a brand, type of heaters, and they're electric and gas powered, and so they basically heat the whole greenhouse. Those are safe to use in greenhouse operations. That's what they're built for. But like a space heater, like you'd use in your house, propane, electric, whatever you got, not really built for that. So you got to be careful with that, because if it's an enclosed environment and your heater's emitting off gas, that can be a problem. Not just for you, but also for your plants. And there's studies out there to talk about how plants react to different, carbon monoxide and even propane, burnt propane stuff. So try not to do that if you can. But if you need to, you got to do what you got to do to keep your plants alive.
Right, I know. But I guess our solution was no heater, heating mat, and it's been. Plus, it stays very well enclosed in there. I mean, for the most part.
Yeah. It's not airtight.
It's not
but,
super airtight.
It was a DIY project.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? Another reason you might want to use your greenhouse is to start seeds. And right now is a good time in a lot of different climates to start seeds.
Right.
Really, the seeds that are cold hardy, and that's like lettuce, chard, mustards, even snapdragons, and even dianthus, I think. And so these are really great plants to start right now, because they're cold hardy down to about 40 degrees or so, and so at nighttime temperatures, and so it's great. And if you have that capability and it's still cold, but down to that temperature, you can start all these seeds. You can get a jump on spring. Now, if it's colder than that, and it's getting down to freezing, you might want to think about some type of heating option, definitely.
Okay, so great.
2 different scenarios.
Yeah, there's a lot that you can say, a lot we can say about that, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. So this wasn't so much a question as a really fun comment, and we so appreciate this. So we just posted our primrose plant chat. We got it out kind of late last night, so sorry about that. I know we've been just a little bit behind everything.
Yeah, life.
We're getting these out way too late, so we're gonna work on getting ahead on that. But Puget Sound Garden Life, who's been on our lives many times, and she commented, what a cool fact about where the plant names come from. Like, because we mentioned primrose.
Yep, primrose.
Primus, right?
Primus. Yep, primrose, Primulaceae primus. And that primus is actually Latin. Its root goes back to the meaning of early or first.
That's cool.
And they named it this. They gave primroses the Primula genus because it comes out first or very early when it flowers in the spring or even in the wintertime. Like right now, we've got them blooming all over the place.
Oh, we do.
And so when you look at the Latin names of plants, there's a reason why they're named that. There's a reason behind or a story behind it. Sometimes it's the Latin meaning of a characteristic of that plant, of the flower, the stem, the leaves, the roots, or what it's used for. Sometimes it's also who found it or where it's from regionally. There's all different kinds of meanings in plant names, the Latin names that they're given. So if you're ever interested in that, dig into it and see what you find. It's really cool.
Root words and prefixes, suffixes, and all that stuff. It's so interesting where all those roots come from.
Totally.
Moving on to another video that we had another comment on, and this was a fun one. And Dana Hoover, who's been a part of our lives as well, and we're not sure if you're here this morning, but hi to everybody. We cleaned up this mess the other day.
Oh yeah,
and it was
a
mess. I can't even think of a better word. So she just mentioned and commented she said, I don't know what it is about watching other people clean, but it's somehow motivating me to be productive.
Yeah, it's fun to clean things. It's fun to get out there and move around and do that. And we feel the same way, Dana.
I know.
And anybody else out there that feels the same way about that. When we see people doing things and accomplishing different tasks, and we're like, oh, we could do that too. We've got that same setup or something very similar to that out in our yard or in our house or in our lives or whatever. We can go do that too. Let's go do it. Yeah, it is motivating.
It's so motivating. And just watching those transformations, I love watching other people's videos and they do the time lapse, or we call it time lapse, but it's like the fast forward, the fast, I know Garden Answer does those, Roots and Refuge does a lot of those too. And they're just fun to watch, you just see a whole project come together, and we like doing it. Plus it just makes us feel good that we got it cleaned up. So
busy hands, busy minds, all that, it's good stuff.
So if we can motivate in any way, we're happy to do so, and thank you for watching, because that was just kind of a project we really needed to take care of.
It needed to happen.
It didn't even take that long. That was the funny part. It was maybe a half an hour, and the whole thing was.
But that was like an accumulation of years of supplies and
sadly,
things,
way too much time.
Yeah. So we were glad we were entertaining and motivating. So.
Okay, last question for now. This is about pampas grass. We filmed a video about pruning pampas grass. Was that last spring?
It was like last spring, summer.
Late spring, summer.
June, something like that, yeah.
And we were on location actually at Ocean Shores on someone else's property taking care of some of their plants. So you probably remember a little more about this question, right? They were talking about pruning, and they wanted to bring the plant all the way down to the ground, but they didn't want to kill it because they wanted to build a deck.
Yeah, it was by D. Carlson. We got it right there. So I remember.
Yeah.
And they were asking about the pampas grass. It's really old. It's big. It looked like it hadn't been maintained by the previous owner of the home. And so what D. Carlson was looking to do was first bring it down, bring it in, hopefully. But they were asking too, can they bring it almost all the way down or to the bottom of the ground, or to the ground level? And to answer that question, it's possible, but you're going to stress the heck out of that plant, even though it's old. Now, if you bring a plant down that far, you are going to stress it. But if the plant has the ability, you might rehabilitate it and get it to give a new flush of growth and kind of start over in a way. And you can see this with different plants like rhodies and laurels, some trees, but it's not recommended for trees because it makes a whole other bunch of problems for trees. But yeah, so there's a couple different ways to do that and ways to think about that. If it was me, I wouldn't cut it that far down, maybe half, and get it under control that way, but don't take it any further down than that, because it is going to stress the heck out of that plant. And you really don't want to do that. Now, the other part of D. Carlson's question was they're going to build a deck and they're worried about, you know, space and different things like that and what to expect. And from my experience and even our experience around here in our house and our yard, and different landscape projects, whatever, for clients, when you're building something new, especially like a deck that's going to be a permanent part of your structure in your yard, you want to make sure that you can anticipate what's going to be growing around it, under it, and over it, and even on it. Like, you know, what are you going to put on it if you're going to put pots on it and stuff? You know, is it going to be able to take that amount of weight, different things like that. Around it, you want to keep probably 2 to 3 feet all the way around the perimeter of your deck clear. And I can tell you right now, we don't even follow that. We've got some plants down here that
ornamental grass that's taking over. We need to.
Yeah, they're growing in. They're growing into the side of our deck right now, and so we gotta get that out. And what you can do with the pampas grass, and what we can do with our grass too, is you can literally like divide it. Get in there, and it's got a crown.
That's true.
Pampas grass has an outer crown, or a crown itself, and it grows out, and then it has kind of a dead zone. Well, you can take that, cut into it, and literally remove part of that crown.
That's cool.
Transplant that out to another part of the yard, or give it away as a present, or whatever you want to do. But if it was me and I was talking to D. Carlson directly, I'd say, however close you're going to build that deck to that plant, either don't build it too close to that plant, so it's 2 to 3 feet away, or build your deck the size you want it. But before you do that, dig part of that plant or all that plant out to get it out of there, because you don't want it growing up against later your structure. And you don't want it to undermine anything underneath if you're using pure blocks or you're cementing in things. So that's what I would say to that.
Well, that's a really good answer. And it just seems like it would be constant maintenance. I mean, it would be like you'd never be able to fully take care of it until you'd either just get frustrated and just remove the whole plant, or you'd have damage to your deck, right? So it's like...
Yeah, and then if the plant or any plant's growing up against a structure like a deck or a house, when it gets that close, it creates its own little environment up against that structure or deck or whatever. And then different critters and wildlife and stuff, they kind of look for that stuff. They like those little niches, and they'll get in there. So that creates a whole other problem. Yeah. So yeah, like Allison was alluding to basically, and what I would tell you is, if you were going to do something like that, just remove the whole problem. Take care of the problem right away, and then you don't have to deal with it later.
You have to remove the plant.
But, well, you can move it to a different place.
Oh, that's true.
You know, if you move it to a different, transplant it somewhere else. But, I mean, unless you want it that close, and then it's going to be more maintenance, something to think about.
I know. Well, good thinking. Okay, so let's that was really good. Nice job on that. We have one more question about pampas grass that we're going to cover, and we wanted to say cheers to Real Jingy.
Hey, Real Jingy. Good morning, buddy.
Here. And Chris McGowan, thank you for being here and for your question. So, they just watched the video on pampas grass pruning, and perfect timing, right? They want to know, do the flowers, okay, let me back up. So they want to cut their own, and do the flowers just come straight back up into a nice shape, or do you have to continuously cut?
On the pampas grass for the flowers. It's up to you. It kind of depends on how your pampas grass has been growing and how it's set up from the get-go and how it's structured, like its crown. It's been growing healthy, it's been growing kind of lopsided, you know, whatever's going on. Those inflorescences, those flowers that come up on their own stalks, they're going to come up wherever they come up, wherever the plant wants them to come up. And it is up to you. If they're not shaped in a certain way or looking in a certain pattern that you want them to look at, you can just go into the base or down as far as you can go on that stalk. Just clip the flower out. That's okay, because as long as you're leaving all the other flowers on there, or a lot of flowers on there, the plant's going to go through its reproductive cycle. You're not going to stress the plant out. If you've got an older plant, you've got like 20 flowers coming up and you take 5 off, that's probably going to be okay. But if you got 20 flowers and you take 15 off, that's going to stress the plant out a little bit, and it'll still go through its reproductive cycle, but not as much as it wanted to before. So that's just something to think about.
Will the flowers come up in a nice shape? Will they come back, or are they going to have to reshape it? Let's see, let me make sure I'm understanding.
Well, the flowers themselves come up on stalks.
So that's like really nothing that you have to do anything about. I mean, they're gonna come pretty much straight up in their nice shape.
Yeah, they should come straight up. Most pampas grasses will have those real sturdy stalks, and the flowers are gonna come straight up. They should come straight up, unless there's some environmental thing where they're coming out of the side from wind, or they're reaching for some reason, and they're growing out to the side. But they should come pretty much straight up. If that's not in the shape you want them in, then just clip the ones out you don't want to have there to get the shape you want. Now, if we're talking about the grass itself with its leaves coming up, basically, and that's just coming up out, and that's not in the shape you want, there's a couple things you can do. If it's not, most pampas grasses are like an oval shape or a circle shape. If it's like lopsided for whatever reason, the crown gets kind of oblong, you can shave a little bit off here and a little bit off here, like dig down with shovel and shave that out, and then get that size that you want. Because the pampas grass grows the way it does from a crown, that's how I would approach it. Because if you're just constantly shaving those leaves off, you're basically not going to do anything with the shape. It'll just be superficial, and you're not going to get the shape in the future that you want. So, but again, pampas grass grow up and out, and their crown grows up, and then it grows out this way over time. And there can be over time a dead zone, a non-growing zone inside. It creates a cavity as it grows out and gets older. So make sure if you have to shave anything off from that oblong shape, make sure to don't cut into with your shovel into that non-growing or dead zone, because it might not grow back out. So keep like, I don't know, maybe 6 inches or so of the growing zone before you go into that dead zone, if that makes sense. And we can talk more about it if you want to email us, Sean and Allison at spokengarden.com, and we can go more into it and talk with you more about that.
There's so much to know about pruning. I mean, this is Sean's forte. Like, you definitely know what's going on. And Chris writes, thank you so much for that answer. That answered it perfectly.
Awesome.
Woo-hoo. And they said I love this, because we hear this a lot from people. They personally hate gardening, but they love the end result. So, because gardening it's like not for everybody sometimes. Funny. It's like you really have to love what you're doing. A lot of people just love the daily little nitpicky stuff. I personally do, because I find it relaxing. I'm out there deadheading or whatever I'm doing, and I know you do as well. Yeah,
I kind of hit both sides. Sometimes I like the little bits and pieces of going out and deadheading, weeding a little bit of that. Sometimes I don't like that as much as I like going into a new project, slamming it out, completely transforming a whole new area, and getting that end result. So I like that too. So some days it's one or the other.
That's funny. Yeah. We kind of both hit the different end of the spectrum on that one, right?
Yeah, but that's funny.
That's good. They're great questions, you guys. If you have any more questions, please drop them in the chat so we can we're going to come back to some more Q&A a little later if we have some more questions.
Totally, you guys. Thank you.
So that was really fun,
cool.
And we look forward to more of this. So definitely drop your questions either in the chat or in the description. We'll get to them next week.
Yeah.
So we can be able to help you, one-on-one, especially if you're launching out this weekend to attack some of these projects. Let us know what we can do to help.
Yeah, definitely. So now, vertical gardening.
Vertical gardening.
What are we going to do about vertical gardening? Let's talk about vertical gardening.
Let's talk about, I know, and Sherry had a really fun story from something she's trying right now. She started strawberries last year in a tall laundry hamper. So how cool is that?
Cool.
So,
interesting.
Let's see, let me back up here.
So with the laundry hamper, does that mean, Sherry, if you can let us know in the comments, because it'd be cool to know, with the laundry hamper, did you fill it with soil, cut slits in the side of it, and then make little pockets to put the strawberries into?
Well, there is a little more. She said they were planted in the holes on the sides, and they are flowering and full of berries. And then
cool.
In October, she planted collard greens at the top of the hamper, and they're growing great, and she's already harvested once.
Wow.
So what a cool,
on.
If you have like just random things around, and like we're looking around our garage, like how can we have so much like leftover material from different projects. We can make new trellises.
But I mean, what a great idea.
What a cool, innovative idea.
Use a close hamper.
I know, I love
as
that.
a vertical gardening.
So you're using awesome. all parts of it too. So you have strawberries coming out the side, and you have greens coming out the top.
Totally. That's the whole premise of vertical gardening. maximizing your growing space. Woohoo! Good job, Sherry.
You basically made your own little tower. You know, they have those towers
that
you can grow out of.
Yeah, there's
We're interested in experimenting with some of those this year.
They make strawberry towers, but those have evolved into all kinds of different plantings.
Totally.
So good job, Sherry.
That's really fun.
Awesome.
We've got some fun ideas to share, and we'd love to hear those of you that are watching or watching on the replay. We would love to hear what some of your other vertical gardening ideas are, because we want to share some of the things that we've tried and that we have going on around our garden right now.
And that we're gonna try.
And certain plants that we want to experiment with this year.
Yes.
Well, for example, I want to do a vertical structure with tomatoes. I think that'd be really fun. And I know you need to train them and kind of tie them and train them as you go.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're talking about too, just the growing up kind. There's trailing
that's fun.
Tomatoes.
That's true.
They haven't been out that long, but they are out there, and that's pretty cool. We haven't done that yet, so that's something.
I want to try that. And actually, we have something to show you in a minute. We've got a couple slides ready to show you, but we've got a slide. There's a new AAS winter plant, vegetable plant this year. Well, it's fruit technically, but it's a pepper. And they've trained it, and it's I don't know if we have that picture ready, but it's
here
it's
somewhere.
able to grow in like a hanging basket. So if you don't have a lot of space, but you want to grow some really awesome peppers,
there it is.
It's potopina.
Potopina.
Like a jalapeno.
Pino.
Potopina.
Pino.
So I think that one would be really fun. And I believe what I found, if anyone's interested in these seeds are being sold at parkseeds.com right now.
Oh, cool,
I don't know if you could find this anywhere else.
So parkseed.com, if you're interested.
Pepper potopina,
Yep.
F1.
Yep.
So that's a fun one.
That's a good example of using your vertical space and maximizing your vertical space, because otherwise and this is just a hanging basket, but that is a vertical type of gardening because it's hanging, it's using a space that otherwise wouldn't have been used underneath your eave or hanging from a greenhouse or from a pergola, whatever you have. If you have the access, you have the availability to do that. That is so cool.
I know, I love that. You know what, I'm actually kind of picturing, maybe we can try hanging some baskets in our front yard, because obviously peppers are going to need a lot of sun, and maybe we can try some interesting ideas in our front yard garden.
So, and just to let you guys know, we're hesitant to put any planters, like hanging planters, in our front yard because a couple years ago we had some really beautiful.
Still sad about
there was like a geranium petunia mix that we bought at the local nursery. Somebody drove by and stole them from us. They just walked right up and picked them up and walked off.
Light of day walked up and carried them.
Yep. So we're kind of hesitant to do that in our front yard. It's too bad.
That's why I'm thinking maybe with something that doesn't look very, assuming. It's very like unassuming, but it's actually peppers. That might be kind of fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to think about it. Yeah. So. Again, I believe those are at parkseed.com, and they just got introduced. Actually, they've been trialed for the last couple years, but they're out now. So
yeah, cool, you guys.
Yeah.
So here's our first vertical gardening ideas for you.
Here's some ideas.
So here we go.
So we actually have all of these around our yard. The picture on the far right that you see there is actually from our front yard garden. We just made a little trellis kind of teepee looking structure, and we grew black-eyed Susan vine on it, and it did wonderfully last season.
Woohoo! Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yellow, beautiful flowers. I can't remember if that was you, Sherry, that we shared that with, that you were wondering where we found those, or if it was another audience member, but I have since found they sell seeds for black-eyed Susan vine that are in multicolored, not just yellow.
Was that Seed Savers?
I can't remember if it was Seed Savers or Park Seed.
I think it might have been
Or Botanical Interest.
Yeah, it might have been Botanical Interest. Yeah, check those out. Seedsavers.org or botanicalinterest.com.
There's so many good seed companies.
Yeah, so these are just the ideas to go vertical. All of these plants you see here grow up on a vertical surface that you provide them. So whether it's wood, it's a trellis, an actual trellis, or it's string in a grid pattern, or it's a type of another type of trellis or lattice there with that on the far right. That's a lattice type of wood structure that we use, and all these plants, they grow up onto some type of growing structure. So that's one way to maximize your space vertically, is plants that grow up.
That like naturally grow up, right?
Yep. And so here's another one. So this is cool.
This is cool.
Now, this is called the Three Sisters method, and you can see there on the screen. basically you've got 3 plants, it's 3 plants there, and what you do is you grow your corn stalk, and then around the corn stalk, to grow up it, you grow beans, which is vertical, right? And then around it, you'll grow squash, and you're basically, not only are you going vertical, but you're actually using the space around, the square footage around the corn stalk and beans to grow even more. So this is another way to maximize your space, not just vertically, but just overall maximize your space.
And we actually tried this a couple years ago, and it was pretty fun. We haven't grown corn in a couple years. We didn't grow it last year, I guess. But the season before, we definitely tried this Three Sisters method, and we didn't give it enough space. Our squash didn't really take off like we'd hoped.
Yeah,
but the corn and the beans did okay.
They did okay. They didn't. The whole area didn't get enough sun.
I think it needed more sun.
It needed a lot more sun, longer amounts of sun. It got full sun, but it just didn't get it long enough during the day.
Yeah.
So
that's something I would love to try again, though. The Ancient Sisters
totally.
method.
Me too.
Three Sisters.
Yeah, you guys. So now we've
fun.
got. I think this is that's not the one we want. Sorry, guys. Vertical. Here's some more vertical ideas.
These are some fun ideas
to maximize your space. You can see on the far left there. It looks almost like they're basically, it's like a bench system, almost like bleachers, but there's basically shelves graduated up on levels. And this is another way to maximize your space. You could put bags on there like you see there, or pots. And I think right here looks like they've got tomatoes in those bags. But you could do potatoes, you could do herbs, you could do almost anything. And it doesn't even have to be herbs or edibles. It can be ornamentals. If you want to have a nice display vertically of different pots or different plants in a certain orientation, this is a way to do that. It's super cool.
Yeah, I know the grow bag method's kind of popular this year. It's not really my favorite look, but I guess if you don't care what it looks like, then it's the function of it, right?
Totally.
And I know they're appealing because you can move them around. You can put them, stack them like here.
Yeah.
But the middle idea is the tower kind of idea, and I know a lot of people have been.
That's really popular right now. And that's very similar to what Sherry did with her clothes hamper and creating pockets on the sides. It's the same concept, exactly the same concept.
Yeah,
so,
I love that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, there's salvia in there in that one. There's chard. I think there's a couple other types of plants in there. I mean, it's just beautiful.
That's so cool. You can really experiment, and we're definitely excited to try something similar to that this year, and try mixing ornamentals and edibles. So that's kind of coming our way. Now the idea on the right has kind of been out there for a little bit, maybe a year or two, using a gutter system.
This is cool.
I know, it is cool.
This is cool.
Our friend Susan from Susan's in the Garden, she has a video where she grew, I can't remember if it was, do you remember what she grew? I can't remember what she grew.
I think she planted seeds, and I think it was last year that they did it. And
she
she goes through all the steps that she uses to get a setup just like this going for a gutter growing system. And isn't that cool looking, you guys?
It's so cool. It's just such a simple, kind of, you're not going to be able to grow every type of plant in there, right?
Oh,
it's like more of a shallower kind of root system.
Yeah.
But they're so cheap.
Yeah, they're very cheap. They're very easy to install too. And you don't have to put it up even against a wall, like this is up against a brick wall. You don't have to put it up against any wall. You could put posts out there with posts in between them, and then put nails in and put that gutter system just going straight across it, and you could have a standalone gutter growing system. I mean, you can do it. Really, you can do anything you want. The only limit on this type of thing is your imagination. Really,
that's so cool. And I love for people that are a little bit more space deprived, or maybe just have a balcony. I mean, what a cool way to maximize your space.
That's a great way to do it.
And it's pretty costly and it looks fairly simple to kind of construct, or maybe there's a different option. Like Sean said, there's lots of ways you can set that up.
Yeah, like this right here, you can modify this and make it so you can set it up and tear it down during the year, so it doesn't always have to be out there. If you're on a balcony and you don't want to continually grow anything, set it up in the spring, get things growing, let it run its course, and then in the fall you can tear it all down and store it, and then start it all over again. Pretty cool.
I know, that's a really fun option for you to consider.
That's
so
something we might do.
These are some things that we're considering, and we've got a list of plants to show you that, but we want to just make sure if there's any questions or comments,
Here we go.
Again, would love to hear what kind of vertical ideas you have. And here are some ideas. And there's so many other things. I mean, depending on the type of vertical structure you use, pretty much anything can be grown in a vertical garden.
And where you grow. I mean, where you're gardening at, where you can grow your plants. I mean,
totally.
There's so many different options. Now, we only looked at, here's your plant list.
This is a short list.
This is a very short list. We got flowers and we got vegetables or veggies. So, you know, some of these grow down, some of them grow up. Now, that's something you want to think about too, is you can, here, I'm going to take this off, but what you can think about is plants. We showed you plants growing up, we showed you plants climbing up, we showed you plants growing just where they're at in pots or in those bags that you saw, but also plants growing vertically grow down.
Yeah, they trail.
They can trail, and so that's another way, that's a different kind of plant and a different way to grow vertically. Start up top and let it grow down, and some plants need that too, so it's what you can grow, it's what space you have, and the growing system you want to use. It's so cool. You have so many options.
I know, for some reason we're really excited about this year.
It's fun to think about.
It's not that we've never grown vertically. We have grown pole beans on basically it's a frame that Sean built, and it's a soccer net.
Yeah.
That's what and it's a perfect system for we've used it for years.
Basically, it's a 2x4 square of like 5 feet, 5 feet, 5 feet, 5 feet, and it's got a little bit of length on the bottom to push it into the ground, and then the nets on it.
Yeah, we just I think we stapled it on. It's
we did. Yeah.
It was simple to construct. We've used it for probably at least 3. I accidentally cut it this past year, but it was just a little section of it.
Easy to repair.
And then again, we've used like a teepee kind of trellis kind of looking thing. We have an arbor that we grow clematis on. We have another trellis we grow clematis on.
So many options.
So many options.
So many options, you guys.
So we're definitely excited to experiment.
Vertical gardening.
Yeah, again, drop in the chat or in the description if you're watching the replay, like what kind of vertical ideas have you tried?
So it looks like Sherry put in something.
Yeah, Sherry said she talking about her laundry hamper, she lined it with plastic and then filled it with soil and then cut slits and then planted.
Yeah, totally.
She said she learned it was easier to put the plants in the holes first. Then pour the soil in. And she has it connected to drip emitters.
Awesome.
So what a cool setup.
That is a great setup.
Once you get it all ready, it just runs itself.
Totally.
So
yeah, right on. We like it. Set up, forget it.
Love it.
Cool.
So I think that's probably it for vertical gardening. We just kind of wanted to bring that up, and it's fun to talk about when you're in when you're planning. All of us are probably still in planning mode, and thinking about our gardens and what we want to try and what we have, what has worked in the past.
I know spring's almost here, but it's not here yet.
It's like 42 days away or something.
And so if you're still thinking about, this is a nice segue, if you're still thinking about planning your garden out, you're looking for ideas, or you want to write your ideas down and get your goals clear and stuff, we've got our free garden planning idea book. What is that address?
I didn't pin it.
I think it's spokengarden.com / garden idea book. And so go there, get it, it's free, and so that'll help you along. Just wanted to plug that in there.
Oh, great question just popped up. Delphina, good morning.
Hi, Delphina.
Does competing for sunlight ever become an issue with vertical gardening?
It can.
That's a great question.
Great question. Yes, it can. It depends on what's growing up or growing down on your vertical garden, and then it depends on where it's situated and what's growing around it too, because if your vertical garden is in front of other plants and it's going to take that sunlight, and it's getting enough sunlight, but anything behind it or around it where it could shade as the sun tracks across the sky, that will impact the plants around it. So something to consider, definitely.
That reminds me actually of when we were planting our little teepee trellis last year. We were kind of concerned about that, shading out some stuff behind it, but it ended up not being a big deal because the way the sun tracks in the summer, it really gets like overhead a lot higher than it does at other times of the year.
Well, our teepee trellis system wasn't too high.
Yeah,
so
that's another point.
We made sure that we made it a teepee system and it interlocked, so it had this side to grow on and then this side to grow on. It didn't go up too high, maybe about 3 or so feet, and so everything else around it didn't get shaded out because it was far enough away or to the side, and the things were set up right. Yeah,
that's a good question, because I mean, really, you would consider within your planning, you would need to consider that. Where are you putting these structures, making sure that there aren't things behind it, and then also what plants are you putting together? Because are some plants going to grow taller than other plants, and then they would compete for sunlight.
They would, totally.
So definitely a great question.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Cool.
I think, yeah, so please, if you have more questions, just pop them in the chat or again, the description. But we're gonna kind of move on because I don't think we have any more slides of ideas and pictures to share.
So we hope those were helpful.
I know, that was kind of
Before
fun.
we move on, we hope that was good, and yeah, always generate your ideas, try new stuff, and get excited because it's fun.
It is fun. I think we're gonna maybe talk about tropical gardening next week because we're really interested in that too. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be worth.
Really fun.
Yeah, we have a couple examples in our yard already, but there's always more to do.
There's so much more.
Yeah.
So think tropical for next week, you guys. We'll come up with some ideas together.
So now, next project updates.
Yeah, we're moving on to some projects, and we'll just go really quick through this.
Yeah.
We haven't really put much time into this in the past week because we got really busy with and the weather was kind of crummy.
Yeah.
But we removed this whole structure you see on the left.
Yep, so on the left there, you guys, we moved all the pots out and those birdhouses, and we completely demoed that wishing well. We saved the squirrel statue.
We did.
So no squirrels were harmed, no squirrel statues were harmed in this project. Yeah, that whole, you can see the end result on the left-hand side, completely removed, and you can see there's a little bit of a wall there with that soil. There was a rock wall behind the wishing well there that we'd gotten from recycled sidewalk when we started building. That idea is going out. We took that out for our new trellis beds. So yeah, the end result, look at that, it's really cleared out.
Wait, you said trellis bed.
Oh, trellis bed, terrace bed.
Terrace bed.
Terrace bed,
Yeah,
trellis, terrace.
But we were, I mean, it wasn't that we were so much hesitant about tearing that structure down because the wishing well, my grandpa built it, it's over 50 years old, it was literally falling apart. But it is kind of a piece of history in the yard, so we were a little sad, but look at all that space it opened up, you guys. Like we have all this new growing space. So we'll keep you posted on that. It's gonna be a couple months on that project, but it's a fun project. We're really excited to get started on.
Yeah, we really are. It'll be great.
So
yeah, and you know, if you're doing any projects, I keep pointing.
I know we keep looking out at our backyard.
Well, that and then the chat's over here. It's open over here, so that's why I keep pointing at that. If you have any projects coming up, kind of similar to that or completely different, bring them up, tell us, and talk about them in the chat. We'd love to hear what you're doing in your yard.
I know we love talking about garden projects.
Yeah, projects. Yeah, so that's it though for us on our projects right now.
Haven't really, other than cleaning up the area of our kind of the supply area that we filmed the other day. That's pretty much it for the week.
Yeah. So something else though going on in our garden is all the plants kind of popping up early.
I know.
It's weird. So we've got plants flowering that usually don't flower this time of year. We've got
candy tuft still.
Vinca.
Yeah, our Vinca's in bloom.
Our Vinca's in bloom. Both front and backyard.
Yeah.
We've got bulbs shooting up that started shooting up way earlier.
Yeah,
than
we have daffodils that are over 6
I
inches
can
tall now.
I can show you what's going on here, guys. Look at all these.
I compared what we are seeing right now with all the pictures I took last year because sadly we just don't really keep a journal, but we have pictures. That's kind of our journal, right?
Yeah.
That's our year-to-year kind of mark. And everything that we're seeing right now is at least a month or more ahead of where it was last year and the year before.
Yep.
So visual evidence.
So yeah, and we're showing you on the screen right now, upper left-hand corner. Those are tulips coming up in one of our front yard containers.
They're even taller than that now.
Yeah, I mean they're just shooting up like, hey, it's spring, right? It's like, no, it's not spring yet. What the heck?
Mid-spring bloomers, by the way. So I don't even know what they're doing coming up now.
Yeah, everything's kind of confused. If you look to the upper center of the screen, we just threw the primrose up there just to have something nice up there to show you beautiful primroses.
Lots of primroses around our garden.
Usually this time of year they are flowering for us, so that's not unusual, but a pretty flower is always nice to see. And then we have
daffodils.
The daffodils, on the upper right-hand corner. Daffs are already coming up right now, and it's still a little early for us.
Now we do have a variety of early, mid, and late blooming daffs. We do have kind of a range, so these are the early blooming daffs, but these didn't come up till April, I think, last year. I mean, they were popped up, but they hadn't bloomed. I mean, these are probably going to bloom probably next month.
Yeah, it's still, I mean, for us in our area, in all microclimates and whatever, however you want to look at it, but for our microclimate here, it's still early.
Yeah.
So now in the lower left-hand corner, we've got some bulbs trying to come up, but they got eaten.
I know, and you know what?
To
be totally honest, I can't even remember what those are, and I'm not sure if those are like a lily or an iris.
They almost look like they're out in the front yard.
They're in the front,
and they look like they could be either the daffs or the tulips.
I don't remember us planting them there. Isn't that, sometimes you just put things in the ground.
Well, we got them all over that area.
We got them everywhere.
But anyway, they're getting eaten. So the slugs are out.
I know.
Slugs.
I definitely sluggoed out there, so.
Middle of the screen, got some hyacinth coming up. We've got some other bulbs coming up in that container in the backyard. So yeah, again, early. And then again, early again on the container on the far right lower corner there with all the primroses.
Those have been attacked by slugs.
So we just have some early stuff going on. The vinca's not in here. We didn't get a picture of that, so.
Oh, I know. I should have grabbed that.
But that's okay.
Maybe next week we'll show you that.
So yeah, is anything? Tell us in the chat if anything's coming up early for you. If you're seeing some interesting, out of character plant behavior.
I know, I feel like we have, for probably the last few months, we've started seeing things bloom.
Yeah.
Our Christmas rose, hellebore, started blooming before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everything's just been early.
It's been early.
So, who knows? But we'll continue to enjoy it. If we have an early spring, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, from year to year, it's always interesting just to see what's coming up. And from year to year, it changes because each year is a little bit different. But yeah, it's okay.
I know. So let's do a quick video roundup.
And then
maybe some announcements, maybe a few more questions if anything pops up.
Great announcements coming up. So
yeah.
Video roundup. So so here we go. There's Monday through Friday there. And so yeah, we did some Q&A, winter seed sowing tips, a lot of fun, and moisture, right? I mean, we think about you gotta water stuff. Yeah, water's a big deal for winter seed sowing, getting things germinate, but what about it? Why is it important? And so that's what we did
that
really short
good.
about.
Yeah.
That was fun. Sorry, so Sunday, day 306, Sunday to this past Friday, yesterday. And then we talked about the different uses of greenhouse, and that was awesome because you can use greenhouses for so many different things. Cool season vegetable seed sowing.
That was a fun one. It's always it always feels good just to get things sowed, just get them started.
Yeah, get started, it's fun. And then our garden area cleanup that we were talking about earlier, that we did a time lapse on that was fun. And then yesterday Primrose Plant Chat.
Yay.
So yeah, that was the whole week, you guys. That was a fun week.
It was a fun week. So we popped those on the screen just to show you in case you have any questions or if there's any topic that looked interesting that maybe you missed or maybe you get an idea that you think we should add or a video. We're starting to film videos based on questions too.
Yeah, if you guys think we need to dive deeper into a topic or you want to know more about something or even if we missed something that you're really interested in, let us know in the comments of any of the videos. Yeah, we want to know because we're here to help you.
Yeah, we totally love to hear that.
Yeah.
So that was it for the week. So moving on to announcements. So we want to remind you guys that we have a book, our very first book coming up, and the due date got pushed back a month at least.
Yeah.
But it's coming out. It will be released on March 9th. It's called The First Time Gardener Growing Plants and Flowers.
All the know-how you need to tend and grow plants in outdoor areas using eco-friendly methods.
Yeah,
that's kind of the
a long subtitle.
It's a really long subtitle and it's hard to memorize.
Well, we cover a lot in the book, and one thing I think that Sean and I have decided to start really speaking to is the fact that our book is part of a series that Cool Springs Press is putting out. It's called, again, The First Time Gardener. We wrote the Plants and Flowers version, and then Roots and Refuge wrote the growing vegetables side of. So there's two books coming out.
Yep, you got the vegetables, you got the ornamentals, and we did the ornamentals.
We did the ornamentals.
And our book is really like a top-down view of what you need to know to get started to understand plants, how they grow, what they need, and then get into your own garden and start planning and find out what you already have, and then how to add to it. And then all the maintenance that goes into it.
All the care.
Yep, that care point, that care of through the year, and it's a top down. It's a big, it's a very broad scope, of what you need to know to get going. So yeah.
Yeah, I think, and one thing I wonder if, I don't know, we're wondering if people are kind of thrown off by the title, The First Time Gardener, because it might sound like, oh, I've never gardened before, and a lot of our audience has a range of experiences. I mean, we tend to talk more to a beginner audience just because then we can build off of that and, kind of.
Yeah, the foundation is very important, and that's part of our book too, is getting that foundation rock solid. And so even if you've had a couple years of gardening experience and a couple seasons under your belt, our book is still very good. It's still really great for you to still read and get that foundational information, because you're going to read it and you're going to find out about plants through our perspective, and it's a very fine-tuned, need-to-know book on all the information to help your garden and you thrive.
Do we have a picture of it?
I think we do.
Maybe Sean can look for that. We are offering 2 bonuses.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
There we go.
There's
so
our
bonus
book.
1 and 2. We'll just keep this up for a second.
Yep.
But it is available for pre-order on Amazon or anywhere you buy books. So I know we've been talking your ear off about it, but we're so excited, and we want to get this in front of you and get it out. And you don't have to, like Sean said, you don't just have to be a first-time gardener to take something away from this book.
Even long-time gardeners will be able to take away little nuggets of information and really gain a different perspective on things. So it's always good to keep an open mind about things and still continually learn, which you probably know because you're a gardener and there's always new stuff to learn.
More to learn.
Yeah.
And this is another announcement for us. We're so excited to say that we just, I was going to do it.
Okay.
The interview one.
So
we just got to talk a lot more at length with one of our gardening kind of semi-mentors, somebody we've met in the last couple years through our organization that we're a part of through Garden Writers.
She's amazing.
Oh, she's amazing. Deborah Prinzing, who started the Slow Flowers kind of movement back in 2012, I believe.
Yep.
So she has amazing cut flower industry kind of knowledge and all of the things that go with that.
Yeah.
So she interviewed us.
Yeah, we got interviewed this past Monday.
I think so, yeah. Wednesday, I don't know. One of the days.
We got interviewed this past week, and it was about our book, but also about us. And so she interviewed us for her podcast coming out this next week, and I think it drops on Wednesdays.
I think it's Wednesday, but we'll let you guys know.
So it's the Slow Flower podcast, and so she's the host. She does everything about cut flowers and slow flowers to grow flowers very eco-friendly and sustainably, and there's a whole network of people that she worked with, that she's built about producing flowers in the slow, natural way, not this pump them full of fertilizer and chemicals and let's genetically modify all the seeds. None of that. Her whole movement and her group are about the natural production of the flowers.
That's so cool.
It's so cool.
She's so amazing, you guys. We had a great time being interviewed, and we're always so humbled to be a part of something like that. So that's coming out soon, and that was kind of our first big talk about our book.
Yeah.
It was kind of we were both a little nervous, it's just all, we're on camera every day, but it's just different.
It's different when you're on the other side of getting interviewed. So anyway, it was good. So check it out next week, Slow Flower Podcast.
And
now, we were approached through our publisher for our book to speak at a specific online event, and we were blown away because this is so cool. So March 19th through the 21st of this year, there's going to be an online event called the Great Grow Along, and if we can show that there, the Great Grow Along, and it's basically, if you go to greatgrowalong.com.
I'm going to put it in the chat right now.
Cool. So basically what this is, guys, is this is an online event to talk to and encourage and motivate new gardeners to give them different pieces of information about DIY projects, growing flowers, growing vegetables, different products out there. And it's a whole online event to promote to you guys. And so we're going to be speaking at this event, which we're so excited about. Woohoo!
Nervous.
Getting goosebumps. We're going to be speaking on Saturday, the 20th of March. And so we'll have a talk about DIY gardening and
the landscape angle, choosing plants, something like that. We haven't really decided.
Yeah, it's basically gonna be based off our book. So it'll be great. It's gonna be a great opportunity for us to reach out to you guys and for you to learn so much more, not just from us, but from all the other speakers. There's gonna be so many
amazing speakers, you guys. You can buy tickets now. I believe if you go to that link, you can find that information, and then I'm not sure exactly how it will work because we're on the other side of it, but you would be able, other events we've done like this, you're able to get in and like kind of choose where you want to go. You almost design your own itinerary.
Pretty much.
So I'm imagining that's how it'll be.
Yep, and it's 3 days. It's March 19th, Friday, Saturday the 20th, and then the 21st, Sunday. And there might be a pre-event a couple of pre-event things going on the 18th, that Thursday. So definitely go check it out. Super cool. We're really excited.
Yeah, we're really excited, and it's like perfect timing. The end of March. It's right before everything just launches again in April, and yeah, I think it'll be really useful. We would probably sign up to do the event if we weren't speaking at it, just to be a part of it, you know, and hear all the amazing speakers that are going to be there.
It's going to be right at the beginning of spring. I mean, the time is pretty well, so.
Perfect timing. Yep. So we'll talk more about that as the details unfold, but if you have any questions about that, let us know. But the website is in the chat, and we'll drop it in the description as well.
And just to make sure you guys know, the Great Grow Along is being put on by a whole bunch of different sponsors, but it's being managed by Garden Media Group. So just put that plug out there, let you guys know who's putting that on.
They're pretty big.
Pretty awesome.
They're amazing.
So
that's pretty much it for today, you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about vertical gardening. We talked about things that are kind of happening around our yard, things that are blooming, some events coming up that you might be interested in.
Yeah, I went over some great questions first part, so
great
hopefully
questions.
Got some great information from that.
Yeah, keep them coming though, you guys, because we want to make these more a part of the lives where we're kind of we're able to talk to you guys.
Yeah, we're here to help you guys. We want to help you become better gardeners. We want to know what you're doing out in your garden, so we can talk about all the projects and what's going good, what we need to work on, any issues. And actually, if you have any questions right now, put them in the chat. We're still here. We can talk a little bit more, or we can catch you next week.
I know we could roll them over until next week as well.
Yeah.
So, been a lot of fun today though, and we hope you guys have great projects planned for the weekend if you're able to get outside. If you're not, you can always dig into a gardening book or just make some plans, maybe draw out a garden space.
Sketch out your ideas. Don't be afraid just to get a piece of paper and just sketch it out, because it can't hurt. It's always good to just look into what you want to do.
Makes you feel like you're still moving ahead on things, which is always a good feeling.
And if you have any ideas for us or any questions that we didn't cover today, leave them down below for us in the comments area, and we'll get right back to you.
Yeah, I think we should probably sign out for the week. It's been an hour. Thank you guys for sticking with us
for being
for the
here,
whole
you guys.
time. I don't know how an hour
this
just
has been
flies
fun.
by.
Love all your questions.
It's a lot of fun.
Really cool.
So have a great weekend ahead, you guys, and we really look forward to seeing you here next Saturday. We're going to talk about probably some tropical plants.
Oh yeah.
Some ideas for shade and full sun, and that'll be awesome.
That'll be great, you guys. So until then, have a great weekend and enjoy the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's right. That's tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah. So we'll see you next week, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.